Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Guys, I'm going to be seeing a video today. All right, this is 15 vintage Russian trucks you forgot existed. All right, this is going to be the first video about Russian vintage trucks. Okay, so if you're excited to see this, please subscribe. And if you find this video interesting, do well to like, share, and comment. All right, so guys, let's jump in.
Soviet trucks didn't care about luxury interiors, Bluetooth radios, or cup holders for your organic kombucha. These trucks had one job: survive, even if the road was more of a suggestion and the cargo was a
Wow, you can hear what he said. Like, the Soviet trucks never cared about looks, they never cared about the interiors or what beauty everyone is expecting to see. They only have one job, like, be the legend. All right, like, this is really interesting.
mystery wrapped in a
I really
tarp,
cannot wait to see how
held
it
down
looks.
by 3 rusty chains and a prayer. So
Oh,
buckle
wow.
up, or just hold on to something
Okay,
solid,
the Kamaz.
because we're about to take a bumpy, hilarious, and slightly philosophical ride through 15 of the most iconic Soviet and Russian trucks. The trucks that didn't just move cargo, they carried history itself. Let's meet the metal legends. Number 1,
Maz 500.
If you ever wanted to see Soviet engineers throw every old idea out the window and try something new, this was it. Before the MAZ 500, Soviet trucks had the engine out front, like a nose. But this one, the engine sat right under the cab. That meant the driver sat almost on top of the engine, which sounds uncomfortable,
wow.
but it made the truck shorter and easier to turn. For crowded cities or tight warehouses, this was a game changer. It also made room for more cargo because nothing says efficiency like stuffing every inch with freight. Under the cab sat an 11.15-liter diesel V6 with 180 horses. It wasn't fast, but it got the job done. It even had a tilting cab, which meant mechanics could get to the engine without performing gymnastics. The MAZ 500 stuck around for decades,
Wow.
hauling Soviet dreams from 1965 until 1990. Number 2. UAZ 452. Meet the UAZ 452, better known as the Bukanka,
Bukanka.
which is Russian for loaf.
Oh my god.
One look at this van and
Why
you know
are these
exactly why.
tires?
It's shaped like a bread loaf on
Wow.
wheels. Introduced in 1965, this van was designed to go where regular vans would curl up and cry. It had a simple inline-4 engine that could run on gasoline so bad it might as well have come from a lawnmower. The Bukanka didn't care. It had 4-wheel drive, enough ground clearance to clear a sleeping bear, and dual fuel tanks so you wouldn't get stranded in the middle of nowhere. Whether hauling soldiers, medical supplies, or suspicious crates labeled spare parts, the Bukanka handled it all. This loaf was tough enough to survive Soviet roads and soft enough to bounce over them without shaking apart. Now for number 3, ZIL 157, a truck so rugged it looked like it could wrestle a tank and win. Built for the military in 1958, this 6x6 beast was made to go anywhere, including places that didn't even have roads. The big innovation was its tires. They came with a pressure control system so the driver could inflate or deflate them on the go. Deep mud? No problem. Sand? Easy. Snow? Bring it on. If it ever got stuck, which was rare, it even had a winch to pull itself out like a self-rescuing superhero. With space for up to 7.5 tons of cargo on flat roads, the ZIL 157 became the ultimate transport truck for everything from ammo to potatoes. It stayed in production until the early 1990s, because when you build a legend, you don't retire it easily. Then there's the KraZ 608 Kolhida at number 4. This one didn't cross swamps or climb mountains, it owned the cities. Built in 1961 by the Kutaisi automobile plant, this was the Soviet answer to tight streets and narrow loading docks. Its cab-over-engine design kept it short and easy to park, but still left room for plenty of cargo in the back. If you bought groceries, furniture, or shoes in the Soviet Union, there's a good chance a KraZ 608 brought them to the store. It wasn't flashy, but it was reliable, the kind of truck you never notice until it's not there, and suddenly no one gets their deliveries. Simple, practical, and stubborn, just like the people who drove it. Now let's go back to 1924 and meet the AMOF 15 at number 5, the granddaddy of them all.
Oh, wow.
This was
the
the
granddaddy
first
of them
Soviet truck
all.
ever made, and it didn't even hide its roots. It was a straight-up copy of the Italian Fiat 15 Ter. Back then, the Soviet Union wasn't worried about originality. They just needed trucks fast. The AMO F-15 could carry 1.5 tons, powered by a small 4-cylinder engine. It didn't break speed records, but it worked, and that was enough. This humble truck didn't just haul cargo, it became the first Soviet bus and the first Soviet armored car. When you're building an entire country's transportation system from scratch, you make every vehicle count. The AMO F-15 was more than a truck. It was the first brick in the Soviet automotive wall. Next, we have number 6, the KraZ AA, the ultimate workhorse. Born in 1932, this truck was a shameless copy of the Ford AA. But like everything the Soviets touched, they made it simpler, cheaper, and tough enough to survive a war. It had a tiny 40-horsepower engine, but it could carry 1.5 tons, just like the AMO F-15. It didn't matter if the load was bricks, coal, or troops, the KraZ AA kept rolling. By World War II, this truck was everywhere, from the battlefields to the farms. With nearly 1 million built, it became the face of Soviet transportation. If the Soviet Union had an official truck, this was it. Number 7, ZS-5. This truck rolled out of the Moscow factory in 1933, and right away it was like, give me some work. It could haul 3 tons, but more importantly, it could survive just about anything. Soviet engineers built it simple, tough, and cheap. If you gave it duct tape and a hammer, it would still run. This thing was so reliable the Soviet Army used it for everything: troop transport, towing artillery, and even turning it into makeshift ambulances or mobile anti-aircraft units. And guess what? It didn't just stay in the Soviet Union. The ZIS-5 took a world tour, showing up in Spain, Afghanistan, Iraq, Romania, even the Baltic states got a taste. During World War II, when supplies were low and roads barely existed, the ZIS-5 didn't complain. It just kept moving. That's why it earned legendary status, not because it was pretty or fast, but because it just wouldn't die.
Interesting. These are really interesting trucks from the Soviet Union. And I think all these trucks are unkillable trucks. Their reliability is just unmatched. Their cross-country capabilities is just so good, all right? And this is really beautiful. I like how they don't join the rest of the people producing complex trucks. They just go with how simple they want it to be. As far as it gets the job done, that's it, okay? And I love how simple it is, but yet capable of doing a lot, all right? So this is really wonderful.
Next, we've got the KraZ-51 at number 8, the truck that picked up the Soviet Union by the collar and said, let's rebuild this mess. It came out in 1946 and stuck around until 1975. That's almost 30 years of hauling, dumping, and getting into trouble. It carried 2.5 tons and had a 70-horsepower engine. Not exactly a speed demon, but speed wasn't the point. The point was versatility.
Yeah, versatility, that's the point.
KraZ-51. Need to move factory parts? KraZ-51. Need a minibus? Guess what? KraZ-51 could do that too. Over 3.4 million were built, and by the time production ended, it had basically carried the entire Soviet economy on its back. Now, number 9, the ZIS-150. This one's funny, because Soviet designers kind of glanced at the International Harvester K7 and went, that looks nice, we'll take it. The cab was almost identical. The rest? Pure Soviet muscle. Under the hood, it packed a 5.6-liter inline-6 with 90 horsepower and could haul 4 tons. It came out in 1947 and worked non-stop for a decade. Factories, farms, military bases, it showed up everywhere. More importantly, the ZIS-150 wasn't just a truck, it was the blueprint. Every Soviet truck that came after owes something to this beast. Number 10, ZIL-130. If the ZIS-150 was the blueprint, the ZIL-130 was the masterpiece. Released in 1962, this truck was so good they kept making it until 2014. That's over 50 years. You probably recognize it, a blue cab, white grille, and an attitude that screamed, I'll haul anything. It had a 6.0-liter V8 pumping out 150 horsepower and could carry 5 tons without breaking a sweat. It wasn't just tough, it looked good doing it. Compared to its boxy ancestors, the ZIL-130 actually had some curves, and it could work in freezing Siberia or the burning Kazakh desert. Over 3 million hit the roads, and half of them probably still run today. Number 11. KraZ 255. Need something bigger? Meet the KraZ 255, a 6x6 beast built to laugh at mud, sand, and swamp water. Produced from 1967 to 1994, this truck was born for trouble. With a 14.9-liter V8 and 240 horsepower, it carried 7.5 tons without flinching. Military engineers loved it because it could haul bridge parts, construction gear, and whatever else they threw on its back. This wasn't your city truck. This was the truck you sent into the middle of nowhere and trusted to come back. Sometimes it didn't, but that's because it was too busy building a bridge somewhere. Number 12. GAZ 66. If trucks had nicknames, the GAZ 66 would be Shishiga. That's what everyone called it. Built from 1964 to 1999, it was small but had 4x4 magic in its veins. It had a 4.25-liter V8 with 115 horsepower, carried 2 tons, and had one mission: go where no truck had gone before. Short wheelbase, cab-over engine, and the kind of suspension that made potholes cry. You'd find it in forests, mountains, swamps, anywhere you didn't expect to see a truck. And it never backed down. Number 13. Kamaz 5320. Kamaz entered the game in 1976 with the 5320, and they came out swinging. This 6x4 flatbed could carry 8 tons and had a 210 horsepower V8 diesel under the hood. It wasn't glamorous, but it was built to handle the endless Soviet highways and the farms, factories, and oil fields along the way. Fast forward a few decades, and Kamaz is still Russia's top truck maker, all thanks to this workhorse. Number 14. Ural 4320. Speaking of legends, the Ural 4320 came out in 1977 and instantly became the truck you call when the world is ending. This 6x6 off-roader was built for the military but ended up doing everything. Towing tanks, carrying fuel, saving people from floods, you name it. In 2005, during Hurricane Katrina, Mexican rescue teams brought their Ural 4320s to New Orleans because American trucks couldn't handle the floodwater. That's right, Soviet steel saved the day in the USA. Number 15. KraZ 75501. Now let's talk big. The KraZ 75501 wasn't just a truck, it was a rolling building. Released in 1991, it could carry 280 tons of rock. It was over 15 meters long, 8 meters wide, and stood 6 meters tall. It had a 12-cylinder engine making 3,150 horsepower. Basically a land battleship for the mining industry. Only one problem: they never mass-produced it. But even as a prototype, it showed the world that Belarus doesn't mess around when it comes to haul trucks. Soviet and Russian trucks never cared about looks or speed. They cared about getting the job done, rain, snow, war, or economic collapse. These machines earned their reputation the hard way, one tough mile at a time. So, next time someone talks about trucks, remind them, Soviet steel doesn't break. It bends, creaks, leaks oil, but it keeps going. Because quitting isn't in the manual. But which one was your favorite? Or did we miss a legendary beast that deserves its own spotlight? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's argue about trucks like true enthusiasts. And if you want more deep dives into legendary machines, from tanks to tractors, make sure to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a single bolt or gear shift. See you in the next one.
Wow, this is really great. I had a great time checking this out. Like, this is really another side of Russia that I've not really seen. All right, you know, I've been reacting to the beauty of Russia, their cities, their food, and all of this other stuff. All right, but I haven't actually gotten to this part of Russia, and I'm glad I actually discovered this. Russia actually has lots of stuff to see and learn. All right, so I love the versatility of these vintage Russian cars. Like, I love how simple they are, and I hope they're still producing this type of simple and capable truck nowadays. All right, let me know in the comment section which of these trucks you think is the monster during the Soviet times. All right, thank you for watching and see you guys on my next one. Bye.